Hello. If you've watched any of my prior videos, so far all I've talked about is hockey or football jerseys. So for a change, I've decided to try something completely out of left field for a change. Anyway, for this video, I'm going to be talking about the NHL's goal horns. Now, speaking of goal horns, what I've done is I've kind of created a list, as you can see here. And also note that this is my first video with some actual footage rather than my idea of blank screen, listen to it on the side while you're doing other things type of video. Or I guess the main proper word for it nowadays is podcast. But anyway, moving on. What I've done here is I've compiled a list of teams that have the same goal horns. And on the far right hand side, I've created a list of all the teams that have a unique horn, right? So anyways, before I really get into the details here, I have some good news. The majority of the teams in the NHL have unique goal horns. But the bad news is there's 14 teams in the NHL that have similar goal horns or goal horns that are practically the same. I guess that's all right. I'm sure most people really don't care about goal horns, but you know what? I think it's nice when there's teams that have goal horns that are more unique and kind of their sound. It's just, I think it's more of an opinion thing, but anyway. Now with that, let's get started. So, right here in this same horn number 1 column, we have the Coyotes, the Stars, the Panthers, the Wild, and the Washington Capitals. Now, let's see here. The Washington Capitals are on this list for a reason, but that's because all of these goal horns sound like this. Right, so you hear that noise and you hear that and you think there's quite a few teams with that same sound. Now, the Stars and the Capitals goal horns are a little bit different than the other three, but they're very similar, so I put them in the same column. But if you're wondering about Dallas and Washington and why they're in this column, don't worry, I'll get back to them in a few minutes. Now, moving on to the next section, we have Boston, Columbus, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Vancouver. Now, the last 5 teams in the last column that we just covered here, that's, let's see, that's about 1/6 of the entire NHL with the same horn. Now, these guys are 7 out of the NHL's 30 teams all have the same sounding goal horn. Now, let me just let you have a listen. Yep. 7 teams in the NHL that constantly have that same goal horn sound. I've been kind of finding that in the past few years, that sound has become very generic, and it seems to be the new generic goal horn for everybody. And I do wish that there were some of these teams that would get something a little more original. Now, moving on to the next column is just Buffalo and Nashville. Now, these two have the same sounding goal horn. I mean, since there's only 2 teams in the NHL with the same sound and they both happen to be in opposite conferences, this is an example where having the same goal horn isn't as annoying because they're both on opposite sides of the league anyway. But as I say that, I mean, one of these teams could pick something else, but compared to 12 other teams that have practically the same sounding goal horns, I think these two can be let off the hook. Now, before I go into this arguably unique category, I'm just going to cover all the teams that have unique goal horns. Obviously, Winnipeg, San Jose, Pittsburgh, who used to have pretty much the same horn as the Canucks until they changed into something way more generic. You have Ottawa, the New York Rangers, and the New York Islanders, which, if you can see that up close, I put an exclamation mark on there, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Trust me, you'll find that it's pretty interesting if you are not in the know, I should say, about this. New Jersey, Montreal, Los Angeles, obviously, Edmonton, Detroit, Colorado, Chicago, Carolina, Calgary, and Anaheim all have unique goal horns. Now back to the New York Islanders. Okay, let's see, where am I here? Let me just find it real quick. Whoa. Oops. That's not what I was trying to get. Sorry about that. Okay. Now back to that exclamation mark for the New York Islanders. This is why. Okay, as part of their move to the new Barclays Center in Brooklyn, the Islanders were just about to kick off their time in Brooklyn, New York, with a new goal horn that sounds like a really lame ripoff of the Edmonton Oilers' long time goal horn. So with that, I'm going to let you listen to this. And we've heard of prototype jerseys, and we've also heard of prototype team names. But this is, for the very first time, I have a prototype goal horn that I can share with you, the viewers. So here it is. Have a listen. And after you have a listen, I'll share some good news about the Islanders on the goal horn front. Anyways, here is what they went with. Or I should say almost went with. Yeah. Okay, New York Islanders. Just because you moved to Brooklyn doesn't mean you have to ruin your goal horn and go with an even lamer version than the Edmonton Oilers goal horn. Now, I have some good news on that front. Thanks to thousands upon thousands of complaints from loyal Long Island fans that are proud New York Islander fans, guess what? I have some good news to share. Before the regular season even started for the 2015-16 NHL regular season, which is now underway as of this video, thankfully, the New York Islanders listened to their fans and came to their senses. So now, even though they are playing in Brooklyn, New York, here's their goal horn. Now that's what their goal horn should always be, in my opinion. It's one of the best in the NHL. At least I think so. If you don't agree, that's fine, but I know that not everyone's going to agree with me on that, but I honestly think the Islanders have the best goal horn in hockey. Well, okay, fine. They're tied with Winnipeg. I think those teams have the best goal horns in the NHL. Now, let's get to the arguably unique section. I bet for a goal horn video, I bet a lot of you are probably wondering why I've got an arguably unique section. Now, even though I've marked down that Boston and Philadelphia have the same goal horns and they're part of the same horn number 2 category, I would personally argue that their goal horns have enough of a slightly different tone that they could be seen as unique. Now, what I do want to say about Boston's is that even though they have the same sound as these other horns in the same horn number 2 category, I would definitely say that this is a unique goal horn. Now, if I can just find it here. Okay, have a listen. I think you'll agree with me after you hear it. Okay, here it is. So, as you can hear, there's a much bigger and a completely different echo from the other goal horns with the same sound. So that's why I would say it is unique. Now, here's the Flyers goal horn. Now, as you can hear, there's more of an airy sound to their goal horn, so I would say that one's also a little more unique. And finally, the Dallas Stars. Let's listen to their goal horn. See, I would even say that Dallas's sound is a little bit more on the unique side. So anyways, here's a quick listen of the Wild's goal horn. And as you can see here, it's part of this category here. And Arizona's has a little bit more of an air sound, but I would honestly argue that their goal horn... Okay, let's give it a quick listen real quick here. I don't want to drag this video on too long. See, you could say that Arizona's goal horn is slightly unique, but I would argue that it's pretty much the same as all these other ones except for Dallas. And I just noticed that the Washington Capitals could actually be included in the arguably unique section. And let's have a listen. And I think most people would say it is unique. Okay, so there's the siren in the background. And this one I would put in arguably unique. I would honestly say that it has the exact same sound as these other teams in this number 1 category that I've put down, but with the siren, I would say that it is unique. But they could do a tiny bit better if they really wanted to, but honestly, that's one of the goal horns that I think is different enough that it really doesn't matter. So anyways, with that, for a quick recap, 16 of the NHL's 30 teams have unique goal horns. As for, actually, you know what, let's say 17 because of Boston. And you know what, you could even say 18 with Washington if you really wanted to. I would probably agree with that. Philadelphia and Dallas, you know what, I could even say that they are unique, but I do think that they could do a little more to be a little more unique, in my opinion. I mean, I'd say Dallas is unique, so let's see here. 16, that's 17 with Dallas, 18 with Boston. Philadelphia's, yeah, I'd say 19. You could pretty much say that there's 20 teams in the league with unique horns, but I'd say Boston, Philly, Dallas, and Washington all have horns that are similar to other teams. So, I mean, it's kind of a to each their own type of thing, but I do think that they could be a bit better, in my opinion. I mean, Philadelphia's goal horn before was from like 10 years ago was a lot more original, though it was the same as Calgary's, but it's really one of those debates. It's pretty minor, so it doesn't really matter. So on that final note, most of the NHL teams' goal horns are unique to themselves, but I do wish there was a little more uniqueness. I mean, there are 7 teams in one column alone with the same goal horn, so, or pretty much the same variation of goal horn, so I do think it'd be kind of nice if these 12 teams right here, if there were more, if it were some of the 12 teams in these 2 lists here that went for something a little more unique. But anyway, I mean, I could go on for a long time here, but I'm not going to bother. So, with that, that is the end of this video. But on a final note, I'd like to do something a little bit different, because as of the filming of this video, it is November the 10th, 2015, and I wanted to end this video by making sure that I took a moment out of this video to thank those who have fought and to those who have also lost their lives fighting for our freedoms in Canada, the United States, Britain, and many, many countries across the world. If it wasn't for the services that you, the veterans, have done, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't get to enjoy the peace and freedoms that we have today. And it means a lot to me, and I want to make sure that I take a few minutes out of my video to at least say thank you. I mean, it's something that really bothers me when I see people around Remembrance Day here in Canada where they don't wear a poppy. And these people have done so much and have gone out of their way for people they'll never meet. Whether that person is as nice as they can be or a giant prick, these people have fought for our freedoms. And to me, that truly means something. And I don't know what else to say besides thank you, because I feel such a huge level of gratitude towards those who I have never met and will never get to meet, that have fought for my freedoms and for the freedoms of other people around the world. And with that, I mean, as I've said, thank you so much for your services and your sacrifices. And to all you veterans out there who have fought and served in the world wars and who continue to fight against acts of terrorism today, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Your services mean the world to me and to many, many other people all around the world. And on that note, I would like to end this video. So, with that, as always, I hope everyone enjoyed this video, and until the next time that I post a video, take care, and bye for now. And to you veterans out there, thank you for everything that you have done, lest we forget. Thank you.